How do you make leadership contagious? How do you help others to catch the spirit, power, and satisfaction that effective leadership can bring? John Hersey says that the solution to these questions lies, in part, on our ability as leaders to recognize outstanding performance among employees. As a business consultant, John Hersey has used his ideas to help some of the world's leading companies tap greater employee performance. He's also shared his views in the popular book, Contagious Leadership. Let's listen now as John Hersey talks about recognition, the key to higher performance.
In this session, we're going to explore how to motivate your employees at no cost. Well, maybe not no cost, but insignificant cost. Recognition has long been known as the key to motivation. I don't care what study you look at, business study, doesn't matter. People will tell you, or experts will tell you, that the key to motivation is recognition. Employees want to feel appreciated. They want to feel valued. And it instills in them a sense of commitment to the person they work for in the company. We all know that. And the higher level of recognition, the higher the performance. It's all true. It's all true. So let me ask you a couple of questions. If recognition is such an important tool in motivation, why don't we use it well? Think about this. There are two forms of motivation that are used most often: fear and incentive. Those are the two. Now we know what fear is. If you don't do X, Y, Z at our company, you're fired. So that's like an extreme form of fear. Or you're demoted, or you won't get a pay raise, or you won't get the bonus that you expected. That's fear. When I was growing up, my dad used fear very well. If I didn't keep my room clean, I didn't get the keys to the car on the weekend. Okay, that's a form of fear motivation, and we've used it all our lives. Now, incentive. Incentive motivation is where we say, if you do X, Y, or Z in our company, we'll reward you. We will give you a bonus. We'll give you a raise. We'll give you a title. We'll give you a promotion. We'll send you on a trip around the world. Fear and incentive. Corporations spend billions of dollars a year worldwide on incentive programs that don't work. In the long run, they don't work. They may work in the short run because you work real hard to win the trip to Tahiti. But let me ask you a question. What happens in the absence of the instrument of fear or incentive? You see, when I was growing up, when my dad said, "You don't keep your room cleaned, I'm going to be traveling all week. If you don't keep your room clean, no keys to the car this weekend." Then he went on a trip. Think I kept my room clean? No way. I thought I could beat the system. They'd forget. My mom would forget to tell my dad. Well, in the absence of the instrument of fear or incentive, there is no motivation. There really isn't. We work with companies all over, and we go periodically to these recognition programs once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, where the top performers are recognized at these elaborate events. And you know, the truth of the matter is that 90% of those top performers would be top performers without the event. They just have it in them. We're going to talk today about practicing a strategy that all of us can do. All of us can do. And it's a strategy that will really focus on recognition in a very detailed way that will make a huge difference to your company. We call it involved recognition, and frankly, it doesn't cost anything. Involved recognition is the habit of articulating specific actions that deserve praise. It's the habit of articulating specific actions that deserve praise. So let me give you an example. I might take Tomas in the back. Tomas, if you did a particularly good job, most managers, most supervisors, if they said anything at all to you, might say to you, good job, Tomas. Correct? That's it. Good job, Tomas. Passing you in the hallway, good job, Tomas. Right? So, after a while, what happens to good job, Tomas?
I get numb to it.
You get numb. I'm going to come back to Tomas being numb in a second. Sometimes you'll hear what we call the contained leader. The contained leader is very inner-focused. The contained leader is very much about themselves. The spotlight's on them, if you will. It's about their job, their performance, their raise, their promotion. They will stand up in front of a group and they'll say, my staff has had a wonderful year, as if the staff was theirs. My staff. What kind of recognition is my staff? See, the person who says my staff is actually looking for the credit. It's all about me, really. What they're in effect saying, it's code. What they're in effect saying is, promote me, give me a bonus, give me a raise, because I somehow got the staff to do a good job this year. They don't really mean it. I don't mean they're being devious about it. I don't mean that they're being nasty about it. But it's not effective communication because they give the appearance as if they don't care. Now, I want to go back to Tomas's point that it's all about them. Good job, Tomas, falls on deaf ears. Good job, Tomas, he said he was numb to it, didn't he? Many years ago, I was living in the suburbs of Boston, Massachusetts. And I had the opportunity to move into the city. And I moved into this. I'd wanted to live in the city my whole life. I moved into this wonderful section. So I moved in and got settled in this terrific apartment. And for the next month, I was up all night long. There were sirens at 2 o'clock in the morning. People were walking the street at 2 o'clock in the morning. You could hear noises. They were city noises. After a month or so, I slept like a baby. You know? I just slept like, because I didn't hear the noise anymore. Good job, Tomas, is city noise. Good job, Tomas, becomes city noise after a while. You become numb to it. But subconsciously, the contagious leader knows that recognition, in order for it to have impact, it really has to address several issues, several questions. A contagious leader is someone who believes fundamentally that their job is to create other leaders. And their primary job is to create a culture that nurtures that. That, in a nutshell, is what contagious leaders are and what they accomplish. In order for me to recognize Tomas properly, I mean really properly, good job doesn't do it, we become numb to that. So what I really need to do is, first of all, do a little homework. Let's do our homework as leaders. I need to ask several questions. First of all, what did Tomas do that deserves recognition? I need the answer to that question. Secondly, I need to ask, how did Tomas do it? Thirdly, I need to ask, for whom did Tomas do this? For which customer, which group, which project, which team did Tomas do this? Fourthly, I need to ask, why? Why did he do this? What problem was he trying to solve? So what was the why behind this? And finally, how did the organization benefit from this? 5 questions. If I will just answer those 5 questions and let me submit to you, it'll take you all of 5 minutes to answer those 5 questions. We're not talking about investigating and hire outside investigators on this one. We're not talking about wasting company resources. We're talking about doing a little bit of fundamental homework so that you can recognize Tomas and Tomas can feel empowered by that. So if we applied that process, what would the benefits be? If we answered those 5 questions in every single one of our communications in order to recognize someone, how might Tomas feel about that? What do you think it might do to the organization? It would certainly pique morale, and the higher morale goes, the lower turnover goes. There's an old saying that I heard many years ago, and I wish I could tell you who said it, but I don't know who said it, and they said that people leave bosses, not companies. People leave bosses, not companies. If your organization has a turnover problem, my suggestion is you look in the mirror. And there is the problem, more often than not. So, higher morale, the lower turnover. The lower turnover and the higher morale, the higher productivity. The more productivity. People feel better about the company they work for, the people they work for, and what it is they do. And what begins to happen with this process, like so many other processes like this, it gets duplicated. If you can do your homework to practice involved recognition, others who experience the benefit of it, the impact of your powerful recognition, they'll begin to do the same thing. And it starts to spread through the organization from one person to the next because it's a behavior that becomes an accepted behavior. It becomes very, very, very powerful. How do you do this? First thing you need to do, there's several steps. First thing you need to do is gather specifics. Find out what it is. Answer the 5 questions that we talked about in terms of gathering the specific. What did Tomas do? How did Tomas do it? Why did Tomas do it? For whom did Tomas do it? And how did we all benefit from it? 5 questions. The second thing you want to do is do it right now. Tomas has a very successful month, and we don't recognize him for 6 months later. It's not, the communication, the recognition is not as effective as it could have been. Involved recognition is most effective when it's used as close to the event as possible. Now, you want to be careful on this next one. The third point is you need to go public. Experts will tell you. You want to recognize people publicly. I want you to be a little careful with this one. Involved recognition is very, very powerful when you recognize people publicly. But I personally know a number of individuals who feel very uncomfortable about public recognition. And if you really are a leader and you really take the time to get to know your people and really get to know them well, you'll know that someone may feel uncomfortable with that process. So although you recognize them publicly, you may call them aside and say, look, Susan, we're going to recognize you today and I want to acknowledge you and we're going to bring you up on stage, and I know you're a little uncomfortable about that, but be with it. And you can work it to your advantage so that you can do that. Now, when do you practice involved recognition? The first thing is never again should any of us in this room begin an employee meeting in any other way than involved recognition. You should never have an employee meeting that does not begin with recognition, involved recognition. What a wonderful way to set the tone for any meeting. Doesn't matter to me what the meeting is, to say to the people in your meeting, excuse me, hold on a second, before we begin to get to the heart of the matter, I'd like to take a moment to recognize Marco. You know, Marco, you took on this challenge with that one customer, and they were feeling unheard, and you, from a customer service point of view, you got on the phone, you made the customer feel heard, they felt empowered by that, their relationship is improved with our company. You did a great, great job. Thank you very much. Now, what did you do? First of all, you did your homework. So you found out what he did. You found out how he did it. He got on the phone. You found out why he did it and how we all benefited from it, and you applied that at the beginning of a meeting. A second strategy is Employee of the Month. How much better can we do Employee of the Month? You know, we take a plaque and we put it up and we say, Tomas, Marco, Beverly, Susan, Troy, you're Employee of the Month. And that's all we do is we put their name up there, Employee of the Month. Why couldn't we take 3 sentences and say, this month it's Troy, and Troy handled this objection from this client such that the client's feelings were improved and they're now have a stronger relationship with our company. Hats off to Troy. Wow. Well, how does Troy feel? Great. We've got his picture, it's on a plaque, but we've told the world what he did to deserve that. How difficult is it? How much time does it take? None. It's a very powerful tool. Press releases. You know, if an employee, think about this one. If an employee does a particularly good job and it's worthy of your recognition, why isn't it worthy for your public relations or communications staff to send out a press release saying that Jill was recognized by the company this month for doing X, Y, or Z? Who cares whether it gets published in the paper? Because, see, you're going to send a copy of it to Jill. You're going to put it in the company newsletter. Don't hold up. Well, the newspaper's not interested in that. The employee's interested in that. And the employee walks away saying the company felt and strongly enough about me that they did this. Final strategy. It's called Recognize 5. This is a strategy that I implore you all, take this one home. This one will alter your company, even if you've got the best company or department going. And the way it works is that every single manager that reports directly to you, don't worry about, taking on the whole company. Look at the people that report directly to you. How many people do you have reporting directly to you? I think you said 6 or 7?
6.
6. Okay, so let's start with 7. You and 6 people. What we're going to ask you to do is that every week you're going to recognize 5 people. And every week the 6 who report to you are going to recognize 5 people. But you're going to do it in a very specific way. You're going to send a handwritten note answering these 5 questions. What did you do? How did you do it? Why did you do it? What was the outcome, and how did the company benefit? A quick little handwritten note. And you're going to send 5 a week to employees. Handwritten. Please do not use email. Please do not use email. I underscore that. And the reason is simple. Good job, Tomas. Tomas was numb to good job, Tomas, wasn't he? How do you think he feels about email? It is now the most favored, preferred form of communication, surpassing the telephone. Okay? How effective is it, though? Maybe for recognition, maybe not as effective as other forms. So send the handwritten note, articulating, here's what you did, here's why you did it, here's who you did it for, here's how we benefited from it, thanks, keep up the good work, signed, Troy. Send it off. 5 a week, 1 a day. Do that for 90 days. Come back and tell me what's happening in your organization. Recognize 5 will alter your company. Now, there's different ways you can do Recognize 5. One way is you can send it to the employee's home. Wow. What do you think Tomas is going to do when he gets home tomorrow night and he's got a handwritten note in his mailbox? What do you think he's going to do the next day?
Come see you. Thank you. Talk about it.
What do you think he's going to do to the people who work next to him?
Show it to them.
Sure, he's going to show it off. Yeah. Use the grapevine. Use, people inside the company talk to one another. Tomas is going to say, look what I got. Look what I got. I got a handwritten note from the big guy. And Tomas is going to be proud about that. We've even had a client that we encouraged. He sent a handwritten note to the spouse of an employee who had been particularly dedicated for 90 or 120 days, saying, thanks for giving up so much time of your spouses. The spouse got a handwritten note. How powerful is that, do you think? See what I mean about it doesn't cost anything? It just takes some time, some thought, and a little handwritten note, in this particular case with Recognize 5. Have you ever noticed this? Oftentimes in business, we're faced with challenges, and we tend to choose the solution that's the most complicated and the most expensive. Have you ever noticed that? That if it's not an if someone walks into your department and says, look, I can solve all of your problems and won't cost you a dime, how do you feel about that? Skeptical, exactly. Here's one of those solutions. We can provide a recognition strategy for your company that's not going to cost you a dime. Take you a little bit of time. What we've learned today is recognition is the key to motivation. We've all known it. Fear and incentive motivation don't work. We learned that today. We've learned that the good job, Harry, that short form of recognition falls on deaf ears, or as Tomas said, he's numb to it. We've learned that involved recognition is appreciated by all the employees, and we've learned that in order to do involved recognition properly, we have to answer 5 questions. What did the person do? How did the person do it? For whom did they do it? Why did they do it? And how did we benefit? What did we as a company get out of this process? What did we learn, or what did we get? And there's 3 steps to practicing. We learned there's 3 steps to practicing involved recognition. First of all, gather the facts. Second, do it now. Third, go public. Again, you want to be careful with the going public part. If we will take involved recognition as a company theme and say we're going to practice this every day, and if we look for opportunities to practice involved recognition, starting every meeting with involved recognition, our Employee of the Month program, our press releases, do an effective, what we call quote-unquote, way to go card campaign. Just say, way to go, congratulations, nice job kind of campaign, or implement Recognize 5. If we will practice this form of involved recognition, it'll change your company. Just try these strategies. Take them back tomorrow and just try these strategies. See for yourself what a difference they will make in your company, your performance, and your productivity.